Hello and welcome to My Existential Crisis, the podcast where we talk about all the things that make us question our entire sense of self. My name is Madison Epley.
And my name is Dylan Berger.
Yes, Dylan is one of my new co-hosts. He's going to be helping to make some episodes with me. So Dylan, do you just want to tell people a little bit about yourself, give some background on who you are?
Oh, absolutely. What is there to say?
So much.
My name is Dylan Robert Berger. I feel like I should give people all of my information.
Yes. Social security number, address, telephone number.
Terrifying.
All of it.
Absolutely terrifying. I have been working with Madison for a little while now, and we both share an interest in true crime and mysterious things. And I think we're going to be talking about both this evening.
Yes.
Excellent.
I guess, how was your weekend? What did you do?
My weekend was very nice. I went to visit my girlfriend's mother in Clearfield, Pennsylvania.
Where is that?
Pennsylvania.
Okay, cool.
And,
love that.
Yeah, it is about 3 hours from here.
Northwest, south,
I use
east?
Waze to get out of my house in the morning, so I have very little idea where Clearfield is.
I have zero mental maps. There's so many times I'm out somewhere and I walk into a building. I'm like, oh yeah, I live that way, and they're like, no, you don't. It's literally. You don't know where you're at. I get so turned around so easily. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely.
It's bad.
It's an absolute nightmare when people ask me what highway I drove down. I'm like, I don't know what highway.
I made it.
What's the difference between highways?
I don't know.
How does that information help you?
I literally don't understand it. And it's you know how dads like to talk about the ways to go places? My dad loves to do that, and it drives me bananas because I have no idea what the fuck he's saying. I just he'll just you know where that's at, and I'm like, yeah, because if I say no, then he'll try to explain it. I'm like, I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to understand it. So just stop telling me directions.
Yeah, absolutely. I know how to get to maybe 3 places. I know how to get to my apartment and Giant.
Okay.
And, I only know how to get to 2 places, actually. So, yeah.
That's basically how I am. I know how to get to my apartment and Costco, and that's it. That's literally.
Is there a Costco near you?
There is. There's a Costco 7 minutes from my apartment. It's amazing.
Oh.
Yes.
I heard this little Costco hack that might be interesting for our listeners.
Yeah, and for me too.
Instead of getting a Costco membership, which costs a certain amount of money every year, you can get a Costco gift card, and then you just show them the gift card instead of a membership at the door, and they let you in so you can use it. But the thing is, you don't use it.
I don't know, because they've been really cracking down lately.
Have they?
They really have. You have to show it at the door. They check to see your picture on the back of it. And then if you go to the checkout, they check again to see, before you can even check out, they make sure it's your picture.
Uh-huh.
So they have been cracking down. I don't know if that would work.
Great. I love going to a grocery store that feels like 1930s Germany.
It really, yeah. That is a very accurate description of Costco. Yep.
There's something I value more in a grocery store than a utilitarian sort of structure.
Yeah.
I like to be pushed around and made to feel uncomfortable.
Costco would be perfect for you then. That is the ideal place to shop.
Excellent.
That's where you need to go.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Trader Joe's is just so loose and free and friendly.
No, not Costco. It is show me your ID. I need to see your picture. If you don't look like your picture, you're fucked. If I were to grow my bangs out and not have glasses and look terrible one day,
it'd be like this.
They wouldn't know they wouldn't let me in.
Do they even comment on at least one of your items at checkout to say oh, I love that. I love those muffins.
No.
I love those tortillas. That's my favorite brand.
They commented that I was carrying too much without a cart, because I hate getting a cart if I don't have to get a cart. It just feels like a hassle to me. So I do my very best to just get what I need and leave it in my arms.
Yeah, no, I have a big pile of items in my arms that I just carry out to my car, and they just drop everywhere on the pavement. And
that's kind of what I do every time I go shopping. But yeah, so I tried to do that the one time, and I had a 20-pound bag of rice, and then other things that I was carrying. It didn't go great, but I made it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you're here.
I'm here.
You
I got my rice.
Costco.
I got my milk. I got what I needed.
Yeah. May Costco reign 1,000 years.
1,000 and then some.
Yes.
And then some. This week, I have a story. I heard this story probably a couple years ago now, and I forgot about it, and I kind of wrote it off because I was like, it's an unsolved mystery, but for me, I could logic my way through it. Mm-hmm. But I forgot about all the little details that were in it and what made it like an unsolved spooky ooky mystery. And then whenever I started doing research on it again, I was like, oh damn, this is crazy. So shout out to Byron Preiss who recommended this one. Thank you for bringing this back into my mindset, time, whatever you want to call it, in Thanks, my Eric. Scope of consciousness. I don't know. So right. This is the mysterious disappearances of Kris Kremers and Lisanne Froon.
Wow, 2 last names that you just want to say.
Yes.
Over and over again.
Kremers and Froon.
Kremers and Froon.
Yes. So this takes place in 2004. This happened in 2014. Mm-hmm. Kris Kremers and Lisanne Froon were Dutch college students from Utrecht, Netherlands.
Ooh.
Yes.
How did you practice that?
I did. I practiced it a lot.
Utrecht? Oh no, I don't know.
Utrecht.
Utrecht.
Yes.
Gesundheit.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So Kris was 21 and she was described as open, creative, and responsible, and she had just completed her degree in cultural social education with a specialization in art education. So she did a lot of stuff in college. At 22, Lisanne was also, she was said to be aspiring, optimistic, intelligent, and she was a very passionate volleyball player, and she graduated with a degree in applied psychology. So these 2 women, Kris and Lisanne, they lived together in a dorm room, and they worked together at a cafe called Den Kleinen Hop.
Den Kleinen Hop.
And I only included that in there because I wanted to say it. So, Den Kleinen Hop. Mm-hmm. Sorry, that's how you pronounce it.
Den Kleinen Hop.
Den Kleinen Hop.
Oh.
And together they spent 6 months saving their money and planning a special 6-week vacation to Panama. So in addition to celebrating Lisanne's recent graduation, they were hoping to study Spanish and volunteer with the locals, specifically children, and they really wanted to do something significant with their time there. Mm-hmm. So on March 15th, 2014, the day arrived, and the 2 set off from Amsterdam airport to Panama. So upon arriving, they spent a few weeks on the coast just like discovering the area and familiarizing themselves with the country, learning Spanish, enjoying the local cuisine, and they actually ended up meeting 2 other Dutch travelers who were visiting the area at the time. So by the end of March, they traveled to Boquete, which was a small mountain town about 37 miles from the border of Costa Rica. And it's located on the Caldera River, and because of its high elevation, it's like 3,900 feet above sea level. It's known for its cooler and more temperate climate than the lowlands. It gets very hot down in like the normal, I don't know what a normal sea level is, but like in a regular sea level.
Is normal sea level just 0?
I think so, right?
Okay.
I
would imagine
so. Yeah, that makes sense, actually. Yeah. At 0 sea level. Did you know that New Orleans is technically below sea level?
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's why it gets so badly damaged in the hurricanes.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, it's really not good. Anyway, I'm sorry. Boquete had this really lush green landscape. The temperature was perfect. The natural environment was beautiful, and it was very popular with Panamanians, retirees, and tourists. So while they were there, they lived with a host family, and they planned to continue to learn Spanish and work with local children, just like they had planned to do originally. However, when they arrived, they were told that the jobs that they had lined up at the school would not start until a week later. So they weren't starting immediately like they expected to do. Mm-hmm. So with this extra time that they had, they're like, hey, we're just gonna keep exploring and keep venturing around. So on April 1st, 2014, this was about 15 days after they had arrived, they left Boquete for a mid-morning hike around the La Pianista Trail.
German is so much easier to pronounce.
It really is. I am a quarter Mexican. Did you know that?
I did know that.
Yeah. So like I didn't take Spanish. I took French. So like I know like the basics, but it always trips me up.
I took Spanish for 9 years.
Are you serious?
And I remember literally nothing. I feel like my mind has tried to repress anybody who tried to teach me anything. And because of that, Spanish and much of English is a mystery to me.
Yeah, It's a tragedy.
That's actually the mystery that I'm going to be talking about today.
Oh, really?
It's my education.
Oh, yeah. You should just cover like the entire American education system, because then that's like a real mystery.
Ooh.
Like, touchy subject. Okay, continuing. So they planned for a mid-morning hike, and the weather was really good. They were going to hike the summit that was around like 5 miles from the city, and a taxi dropped them off at the start of the trail. The driver reported it was mid-afternoon, but their camera suggested it was earlier, around 11 a.m. So in order to reach the summit, it would take a person in decent shape, which they were, around 2.5 to 3 hours to reach the top. So round trip, it was going to be a 5 to 6 hour journey.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, a great time. So obviously this hike was described as moderately challenging. I would describe it as more than that.
Yeah.
But this is how they described it. And some reviews on all trails described the area as very muddy, and people spotted aggressive dogs.
Aggressive dogs?
Don't know what that means.
Aggressive dogs on a 5-hour hike.
Yeah. Doesn't sound great.
And they chose to do that.
Yeah, they chose to do that. It doesn't get better. I'll tell you that much. It gets a lot worse before it gets better. I don't know why I said before it gets better, because it literally doesn't get better at all. Okay, so earlier that day, they posted to Facebook about they were going to explore the area and how they met up with the Dutch travelers for brunch that morning. And on their hike, the two women took the host family's dog named Blue from the village with them, and they set off on their hike. Just as a quick note, they wore light clothing, tank tops, and shorts, and carried a backpack containing their passports, a water bottle, a Canon PowerShot digital camera, about $80 worth of money, and their cell phones, an iPhone and a Samsung Galaxy. That seems very trivial, but it is important, I promise.
It seems pretty light. I mean, for a hike.
Yeah, it seems pretty light. Like, it doesn't say about granola bars or anything. Like, I need a granola bar when I'm hiking.
Oh, one of those hydro packs with a big tube?
Yeah, just, like, hook that sucker up and just, be on my way. So Kris and Lisanne reached the summit around 1 p.m. and for some reason it looks like they continued beyond the trail. Normally tourists would turn around at the lookout point and walk the same trail back to Bouquet. The area beyond the trail is very rugged, it's very steep, and it's actually very dangerous, particularly from April to October during the wet season, which is when they went. Even indigenous tribes trek the trail warily past this point. They know exactly where they need to go, and even then it can be a little hazardous.
So they didn't go back the way that they came?
No, they kept going for some reason.
Was there speculation that somebody was following them?
There is. So as they continued on the trail, that is no longer a trail because they're just literally going into the woods at this point. Through that journey into like the jungle woodsy area, there is a steep river. It's like this gorge up to 70 feet deep, which has to be actually crossed using these cable bridges. Do you know what those are?
Are those the bridges with, I might be thinking of something else, but the ropes on either side and the rope on the bottom?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Ooh. Like, you can see them a lot in like zoos. Monkeys use them to like get around. Yeah, not safe. Not safe at all.
Poor monkeys.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not great. So days prior to the hike, they looked up the trail on the computer and must have thought that they still had time to walk on towards a waterfall that was deeper in the jungle. And if you remember from what I described they had on them, they were really not equipped for a prolonged period in the jungle. They had no food or survival gear. Hikers who usually plan to go on the more adventurous parts of the trip usually pay guides to take them. They have specialist equipment and supplies to last for at least a few days. They have tents and waterproof clothing, they are more prepared. So it's either that they thought they could just see this waterfall, or like you had mentioned, maybe someone was following them. We will kind of dig into that in a little bit. So fast forward to later that evening. This is still April 1st. Blue returned to his host family all alone. And at this point, the family was concerned, and they did search the area that evening, but they waited until morning before deciding on next steps. People think this is suspicious, but it's a small town, so it's a small town with different cultures and different customs, so I don't know if the police was readily available 24/7, or if they probably also would have waited the next morning. So
yeah, and sometimes you're just sleepy.
Exactly.
And you can't look for your family because it's just too late.
I'm tired. They have their dog. I mean, they have that. So the following morning, April 2nd, the woman had planned a guided tour for the jungles around Bouquet where they were at, but they never showed up. And their guide actually even stopped by the host family to ask where they were. And they were like, they didn't return. So they thought maybe there was miscommunication, but no, they just like never showed up and they never returned. So now they were getting concerned. So a day later then, this is April 3rd now, the women were finally reported missing.
How many days after
initially
went missing were they reported?
They went missing on April 1st. So this is 2 days.
So 48 hours.
Yes.
Is that typically the thing? You wait 48 hours?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Attention to everybody who thinks that you have to wait 48 hours before reporting somebody missing. That is false.
You wait 72.
No.
Give them some time.
They can make it back on their own. They're adults. So yes, on April 3rd, the women were reported missing, and they did an aerial search of the forest, and they also did a foot search with dog teams of the village and wooded areas by locals. But despite these efforts, they didn't find anything. And now April 6th rolls around. This is 5 days after they were first noticed to be missing. Their parents actually arrived in Panama along with police detectives from the Netherlands, and they wanted to conduct their own full-scale search of the forest, and this lasted for 10 days. The parents even offered a $30,000 reward for any information leading to their whereabouts, but still there was absolutely no sign of them.
So they waited 5 days.
So the parents arrived 5 days later.
Oh, 5 days later.
Yes, that was as soon as they could get there.
Okay.
So when they got there then, they immediately sprung into action.
Gotcha, I see.
Whereas the host family waited a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, if you wait 5 days, just make it a week.
Yeah, just like even it out. Round up at that point. Why not? So 10 days turned into 10 weeks.
Yikes.
Before their first clue turned up. So on June 14th, this is over 10 months after they first disappeared, a local woman turned in Lisanne's blue backpack in a rice paddy. That's where it was found. How it got there is just the very first of many big mysteries, as this community is very isolated and it isn't even on the maps. Specifically, it was near the village of Alta Romera, which is around 10.5 miles from where they were seen last. And it's 5 miles from the summit of the trail that they were from. So it's a very long way. It's estimated it was going to be like an 8-hour walk from their last known location to the village. But even then, you couldn't really reach the village on foot. Like, you really needed a helicopter to get in there because it was just that hard to get to.
Sounds very isolated.
Yeah, incredibly isolated. Again, in fact, just to retrieve the backpack, the police had to pick it up using a helicopter. So that's like how hard it is to get to this place. Yeah. So first it was assumed that this backpack just like drifted up the river, but the woman who found it said that the backpack was not there the day before, and it absolutely could not have washed up because the backpack was bone dry. And all of the contents inside of it were dry as well and absolutely undamaged, in perfect condition despite supposed weeks of being in the jungle.
And floating up the river.
Yes.
It was dry.
Absolutely dry.
But somebody carried it there.
That's exactly right.
Right.
Yes. Thank you. That's not what the Panama police say.
Or it was just a very, water-resistant backpack.
That's true. But like, cell phones aren't that water resistant.
Sure, yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know why. I don't think it's JanSport, but like for some reason I have a very clear image of this being like a JanSport backpack.
They make a great commercial.
Yeah, it would, right? Like waterproof.
Your family goes missing, but their backpack is in pristine condition.
You can use all of these contents within it to find their location.
Yeah, remains.
Remains. Not good. So inside the backpack were 2 pairs of sunglasses, the $80 in cash, Lisanne's passport, a water bottle, 2 bras, and their camera and cell phones. So basically all of their technology, everything that I had described before, but now their sunglasses and bras.
Okay.
Minus Kris's passport. They're missing that.
They're missing the passport.
1 passport.
But not the money.
No.
Or any of the other items.
No.
That's Really peculiar.
It is very peculiar. It was also just important to note, we'll get to this a little bit later, but Lisanne was known to have asthma, and her inhaler was also not in the backpack, which I don't have asthma, but I have an inhaler. So, like, I need an inhaler for whenever I'm hiking because I can't breathe going up the hill.
Even though you don't have asthma?
So, I don't have asthma, but so the first time I got COVID, I got bronchitis really, really bad.
At the same time.
Yeah, and it fucked my lungs up really, really bad. So, like, now every time I get sick, I get bronchitis. But even when my bronchitis is gone, like, I can't breathe as well as I used to before. So, like, going up hills, it's not good. Like, after a while, I am like, I cannot catch my breath.
Man, I can't go up hills either, but that's because I'm out of shape. Not because I had bronchitis and COVID at the same time.
Yeah.
How many times did you have COVID?
I only had it twice. I say only. I had it the first time, like, the winter of 2021, I think. And then David didn't get it at all.
Really?
Yeah, I know. He never fucking gets sick. It's so... I'm happy for him, but it's really annoying.
And you were living together?
Yes. I know. I'm aware. So then he gets it from a coworker, and he brings it home to me, and I always get sick. So I only had, like, a little cough this time. I wasn't, like, full body aches like he was, but I still got bronchitis. Yeah. I literally just had a cough. It was awful.
The moment of silence for those people with bronchitis.
Yeah, honestly, it is the worst. Don't ever get bronchitis. Not that you can avoid it, but, like...
But if you have a choice.
If you have a choice, if you can avoid it, do.
Yeah, get any other itis.
Any other itis. Yes. This is trademarked. Do that. So, investigators determined that the belongings had 34 different fingerprints on it, and 13 within the bag. Sorry, I'm going to repeat that because that's not correct. Investigators determined the belongings had 34 different fingerprints on it.
Was a guy using his toes?
You think? I'm like reading this, like, this does not sound right. Okay, 34. So the belongings had 34 different fingerprints on them, and 13 of those were on the bag.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Sorry, that was not making sense to my brain. They also found DNA on the backpack contents, but they didn't, like, connect them to anything. They didn't, like, lead to any leads, for lack of a better word. But right away, the digital evidence was the most compelling. So first, the phones. The phones showed that around 6 hours after the beginning of their hike, someone dialed 112, which is the Netherlands emergency number, like our 911. And then also 911, which is Panama's emergency number. So they tried both. And it is important to note that even though they called 112, it still would have directed them to the local emergency line, which was the 911.
So it wouldn't direct to somebody in the Netherlands.
No.
Who picks up and he's like, where do you want me to go?
Yeah. Panama!
You gotta get here quick.
Okay. So the first call from help was actually made from Kris's iPhone at 4:39 p.m. And then shortly after that, Lisanne's Samsung Galaxy tried to call again for help at 4:51. Neither of these calls went through because there was no reception, and none of the other calls went through either. So both phones were used to try to make a connection, and on April 2nd, this is the second day now, at 6:58 a.m., they actually did make a connection. Lisanne's phone, which I'm just saying was a Samsung Galaxy, which... No, this is good. This is good. It is good. Her phone actually did connect for 1 to 2 seconds on the 112 number, but it did quickly fail. And 36 seconds later, the phone was turned off again. So, like, but it did connect, though. I'm just saying. Yeah, I am anti-Apple product, so, like...
You mentioned that you don't have any Apple products in your home.
I don't.
Which I've never heard of before.
I actually lied. I have one, and it's actually David's. He has AirPods, but he didn't buy them. He got them from the Lost and Found at the hotel that we worked at before we came here. So
they're not even his?
No, he took them.
Some poor Zap goes to the Lost and Found, he's like, where are my AirPods?
Well, see, the place that we worked at, they would have just bought, like, new AirPods and not even, like, batted an eye. Like, they were... They had money to spend.
You're close to incriminating yourself.
Now
I'm complicit.
This is what you get, Dylan. This is what you signed up for. Okay.
I can't do AirPods. My ear canals are all fucked up, and they don't stay in my ear.
What's wrong with your ears?
They're just the doctors just call it jelly ear. Yeah. They're too soft. When I try to put them in, it's like a pillow.
Are you joking again?
Am I?
I don't know. I don't know. I would believe. Well, don't like boxers have like cauliflower ears that they call them?
Yeah, that's essentially it.
Yeah. So like, is that what you have?
No, I don't have cauliflower.
You don't have jelly ears either.
I don't have jelly ears. I cannot fit those in my ear though. They just don't stay in. Yeah, they don't stay in.
Are your ears too big? Are they small?
One of them is too big and one of them is too small. So
you're just like disproportionate.
Yeah, essentially.
Okay, cool. I'm sorry for that.
You sound really sorry.
I'm very sorry. That is very unfortunate. So out of the other 77 calls that were made, they were never able to get a connection again. On April 4th, this is now 3 days after they first went missing, Lisanne's phone died after 5 a.m. and it was not used again. And Kris's phone didn't make any other calls, but it was turned on and off intermittently to check for reception. So between the 5th and 11th of April, the iPhone was turned on multiple times, but without ever entering the correct PIN code. So either the wrong one was entered or none was entered. And on April 11th, the phone was turned on at 10:51 a.m. and was turned off for the last time at 11:56 a.m., despite still having 22% battery left. So during the 5th through the 11th, just to recap, the iPhone had either the wrong PIN entered multiple times or no PIN entered at all. So either it was Kris's phone. So either Kris's phone wasn't being used by Kris and it was being used by Lisanne, and somehow after 5 days in the woods, they didn't know each other's PIN codes for their phones. Not judging, I'm just saying. That's kind of bizarre.
Were they separated, I imagine?
Maybe. That's the thing. I don't know. We have no idea. And then again, it was never turned on again, even though it still had juice left in it. They just never tried it again.
So they were either separated or the person that was following them tried to use it themselves.
Yes.
Ugh.
Yes. Not good.
Ugh.
Not good.
It's scary.
Yeah.
This is too scary.
It gets worse. So buckle in, Dylan.
All right, I'm ready.
Lisanne's camera had over 100 images on the memory card, 133 in total, but there was a mystery shot that is missing, image number 509. The camera did not have a GPS option, so investigators were just kind of left to like use the pictures and kind of estimate where they were supposed to be with the guides. And the first images on the first, they were like standard tourist shots of them hiking. They were smiling. The sun was bright. They were just enjoying their hikes. And then the girls then follow an indigenous trail near a creek, which is, again, this is past the summit. This is where they should not have been going. Did I say crick or creek?
I think you just alternate if you want.
No, I say crick.
You do say crick?
I do.
You say roof?
No. Crick is like the only hick thing that I say. Like I pride myself in being like a very classy, like city-esque, sophisticated person.
Yeah, that's the impression that I get.
Yeah, but
once you get down on the crick,
Western PA, like
all bets are off.
Sneaks in. Yeah, it's a crick, and I try. We were actually hiking, David and I called it a crick. Like, I don't think about it. And he yelled at me for calling it a crick. He would not allow that at all. So, a creek.
Or a crick.
Or a crick, you know, whatever.
You're feeling froggy.
Down by the crick. Feeling a little froggy.
All right.
So, in one of the last shots from April 1st, Kris had an anxious look on her face around sunset in the jungle, around 6:40, which I would also be anxious.
Yeah, that seems like an understatement.
Yeah.
To have an anxious look.
Yeah, she was like looking back and she was like, you can't see my face, but just imagine an anxious look going,
yeah,
just like that.
I can see it.
Yeah. Hopefully they can't too.
I can imagine it.
So the other 90 images, they weren't just mysterious, but they were also just very scary. And they were all taken on April 8th. Which is 7 days after they first went missing. None of the pictures were taken in between there. It was images from April 1st and then images from April 8th. Nothing in between.
Weird.
Yeah, super weird. So a lot of these images just show darkness and the jungle floor, and you can tell that there's rain falling. Most of the shots look like they were taken deliberately. Like, they weren't blurry. They were specifically taken. Like, usually, you got that little blur if you're moving around.
Right.
That was not happening. And at this point, the woman had been in the jungle for a week. And some were taken seconds apart, and others were up to 15 minutes apart. So, some of the images show the woman's belongings spread out behind a rock with candy wrappers in a plastic bag. Some images show that they were near a ravine and this Siri gorge with the cable wires, cable bridge thing, which is dangerous. And especially if it were raining, it would make that even more dangerous.
Yeah, whether or not you're a monkey.
Yeah, whether or not you're a monkey is dangerous. Like, I don't know how monkeys are, but like, I would not trust them to go over a cable bridge in the rain. I don't know what kind of monkeys I'm talking about.
I do trust monkeys. Let's get the record straight.
Okay.
But in this particular instance...
I don't trust monkeys. They are vicious.
Yeah, they're terrifying.
They are really scary.
Even the small ones.
Yes, they can rip your face off.
Yeah.
It's not good.
It's happened.
I know. We're not talking about monkeys. We're talking about missing people. Anyway, so... It appeared that the women were following the river downstream, which is exactly what survival guides would recommend. So it seemed like they had learned something, and that's where they were going. There were photos that showed odd piles of dirt, and I don't really know what to make of that, besides they were just unnaturally formed piles of dirt. Like, either they were using them to rest up against and building those things, or
maybe they were using them as an indicator of where they've been.
Maybe. That's actually I didn't think about that. That's a really good point.
Yeah, because when you're in the jungle and you don't have anything to mark your surroundings, you would make whatever you could out of a pile of dirt or leaves.
I would try to, at least. So that makes sense to me. It shows, some of the pictures show what looks like a backpack strap and a mirror on the rock. I don't know where the mirror would have come from, but it kind of looks like that. And then probably the scariest one, to me at least, is a picture of Kris's head. It's the back of her head, and you can see blood. She had a head injury. Either she fell or someone injured her. But you can see a matted hair and some blood at the base.
And was that one of the last pictures or one of the earlier ones?
So it was one of the later pictures. I don't think it was one of the last pictures, but definitely one of the later ones.
Because if she sustained a head injury, it would kind of explain all the weird actions.
Exactly. So another theory was that maybe because Kris was injured, maybe she couldn't keep going, and they took it as evidence this is what happened to Kris, and Lisanne went to go get help. Maybe that's why she had Kris's phone, if she did, and was entering the wrong PIN code. But again, we just have no idea.
Huh.
Yeah, it gets weirder.
In the picture of her head and the blood, does the blood look dried or does it look fresh?
I think it looks dried. To me, it looks in the middle. It looks it's not bright red, fresh, but it's not crusty and dry. It's kind of in the middle of that. It's trying to heal.
Okay. And whose head was that?
Kris's.
What if, and this is just speculating.
Yeah.
But what if on the way up the mountain, Kris hurt her head, and after they get to the very top of the mountain, maybe not, because they would have turned back. Right?
Yeah, I would imagine so. I would hope so. I would turn back.
Maybe she was downplaying it, and at the very top she got confused and then headed off into the forest.
Maybe.
Sort of irretrievably, they can't get back up again, and then they would just start wandering.
But then why would Lisanne keep going with her?
Yeah. To make sure that she was all right.
Maybe. I don't know. That's a good theory. I'd take that. It's better than what the Panama police had. So, no shade, kind of shade. So, one theory, and this is the theory that I kind of always thought, that they were just kind of using the flash as a flashlight to see their surroundings and find their way in the darkness, or to scare away animals or something like that. But it doesn't seem entirely likely, because they only started using it the very last day. Something seemed to have motivated them to take pictures on this last day. So image number 509 was the last picture taken by Lisanne and Kris, but there were two versions of this picture. So it was taken right between the daytime and nighttime photos, and it was permanently deleted, which means there was absolutely no way of retrieving it. And typically, whenever a photo is deleted, you can restore it. It's not immediately gone forever, goodbye. There is a memory of it somewhere in the card, and specialists can usually retrieve that. However, the whole thing was just deleted. Dutch specialists tried to get it off of it, and again, not usually a challenge for them, but they said that it looked like someone had uploaded it to a computer and removed it that way with some help from like a software or something, because it was like just absolutely gone. No sign of it whatsoever. Again, they were very certain that someone deliberately deleted this picture for reasons unknown. They theorized that maybe the Panamanian authorities took the photo off the camera themselves because it was something that they didn't want the world to see. And like maybe it was content that didn't agree with their theory of what happened, so they removed it. It's very unlikely that the camera just would have malfunctioned on its own and just vanished this picture. So shortly after the backpack was found, on June 19th, Kris's jean shorts were discovered on a narrow piece of land between two fast-flowing and powerful rivers that deposited into a lake. And they were found by more indigenous people. And it is a common misconception that they were found zipped and neatly folded and placed on a high rock. But this is actually disproven. There is photographic evidence that they were not. And that was a huge source of like controversy, because like why would you have jeans that are like neatly folded on a rock and zipped up? That doesn't make any sense. So that was disproven, and they were actually found floating in the water. So that mystery is solved-ish.
Okay.
In the same area, remains were found behind a tree and away from the river on June 19th, and they were confirmed to be the remains of both Kris and Lisanne. So 33 bones were found widely scattered along the river, like a few miles from the cable bridge, and they think that this is where like the photos were taken, but they're not entirely positive. Upstream from the river, Lisanne's left foot was found intact inside of her boot, which also showed multiple fractures of the metatarsals, and the laces were still tightly tied up, but the foot was still in there.
So did an animal get to them?
That's the thing. I'm going to get to that because I'll tell you why that's not likely. So that makes sense.
Maybe a monkey got to them.
You know what? If they were walking on the cable bridge and the monkey was like, ain't no way, bridge. This is my bridge, you know, all bets are off. Yeah. We really don't know. So forensic analysts found that there was zero cut of the bone. It was very clean, and there was zero blood found on it. There were no signs of cutting, hacking, sawing, gunshots, claws, or teeth marks. Nothing. It was just clean, like it had just fallen off. The foot itself does not indicate foul play, but what was odd was that the different body parts seemed to be in different stages of decomp.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she was alive when her body parts were removed?
Not necessarily.
That's what I think of when I think of different stages of decomposition, right?
Yeah, so yes and no. Like that, yes. She would have had to have been somewhat alive, or things had to have been preserved a certain way, but that doesn't make sense at all for where we're at, in the middle of the jungle. In the middle of the jungle, it makes absolutely no sense. So yes.
But if one of the pieces of her body was waterlogged, I would imagine that would speed up decomposition.
It does. It does mess with decomp if it is in the water compared to not in the water.
You know a lot about decomposition.
I do.
Madison, care to speak on that?
I watch a lot of true crime stuff, and I do a lot of research. Have you heard about skin slippage? I'd love to tell you about it.
I heard you mention skin slippage in an episode that I was listening to today. I know of it. I can imagine what it is.
Don't look it up. Just don't. I'm
gonna look it up right now.
Actually. Oh yeah, yeah.
No, absolutely not.
Okay, so in August of 2014, a fragment of skin from Lisanne's shin was found and was still in the very early stages of decomp. Shin skin, very different from her foot in the boot. Completely different. However, in contrast, Kris's bones were stark white and clean, like they had been bleached.
Okay.
Yes. So when I say different stages of decomp, I mean like very different. These bones are not lining up at all. Like you have fragments that look like they were just decomposing, and then you have her pelvic bone that was not only white and clean, but had been like cut directly in half.
What about the rest of them? Where did that go?
Missing. missing. They just have like bone fragments and a foot and half a pelvis that's bleached.
Okay.
It's not good.
I don't think they have a very good chance.
No, I wouldn't say so. And again, a forensic anthropologist claimed that under magnification, there were no scratches of any kind on the bones, so like no animal would have gotten to them because they would have seen claw marks or scratches or teeth marks or something. And also, animals don't bleach bones. I don't know if you knew that or not. But that's not...
How does that work?
Yeah, they actually don't do that.
You have a vast knowledge of bones as well.
I do. I do. It's not something that animals do. And they also can't, like, split a bone, like, clean in half. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Not an animal.
A really persistent beaver might be able to split a bone.
You know what? That's a good point. But you would have been able to see the teeth marks, no?
Yes.
Or maybe it had a nail file and like it's like smoothed it down so that you couldn't see it.
Certain animals can be very enterprising.
Listen, I get it. You know, you've seen that meme with like the cat sharpening his nails with like a file. That's like, I get it.
Panamanian police are like, this is it.
This is it.
Show it a meme.
Yes. We found the killer. So actually, the government said that the deaths were just a tragic accident, but. Yeah.
Very tragic, very accident.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It doesn't make any damn sense. They think that the women were swept away by the river, and they tried to cross it by the cable bridge. Because, like, the emergency calls showed that they needed help, and, like, you see the injury, and the body parts, and all this and that.
Well, you know, I did some white river rafting, and one of the things that they told us is that if you are going down a river and you try to make yourself upright, your feet are going to get caught in the stones on the bottom of the river.
Yeah.
So that could explain nothing. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. Yeah, no idea.
Okay. In theory, this is a very far-fetched theory. In theory... No, that doesn't make sense either. I was going to say that in that case, what if her foot got caught in the rocks?
Yeah.
And she had drowned in the river and her foot was caught in the rocks. And her body decomposed in a way where just her ankle, her foot released from the bone. But that doesn't make sense because then where's the rest of her?
Right.
I
mean, maybe the rest of her body was just scattered on the riverside and animals ate it.
Maybe.
And then the bones were bleached.
Yeah, you know, as they do.
And then you could just like, the foot is preserved inside of the shoe.
No blood. Just.
No blood.
Just there.
This is curious.
It is very curious. Also, you know, unsurprisingly, people are convinced that it was foul play, with the odd images and the electronic image, like the image being removed from the camera. I can't speak. Like, that makes the most sense. And originally, the case was first declared a homicide and a, quote, a crime against personal integrity, but then it was later described to be not that case. It was like, oh no, I'm sorry, just made a mistake.
Yeah, we messed up.
Yeah.
We take it back.
Exactly. So, like, other theories of, like a mixture of the things. So hypothermia isn't just like out in the blizzard and you're freezing to death.
Right.
Hypothermia can actually be, it's very common in deserts actually because it gets really hot in the desert during the day, but during night it gets so cold. It can get like below zero. I don't think that's true, but it can get really cold. Not below zero, but it can get really cold. So if they weren't dressed appropriately for it, hypothermia is possible. But then again, like, where is the body? Like, why are things not making sense? That's really all I've got. Most of it is just like theories and like people who might have fallen earlier, back to what we had said. Maybe they were being followed by somebody and they like got into trouble. Maybe they fell and they were running away from somebody. Maybe somebody got the phone.
It does seem like there's another person involved.
Yes, it seems like there is somebody else involved.
Because how did she hit the back of her head?
Exactly.
I mean, she
could have fallen. But like, I don't know. There's a lot of unanswered questions. And, like, the bleached bones really gets me. Because, like, the sun can bleach things, like bones, but the sun cannot clean and bleach that fast.
Yeah.
It takes a while for your bones to be bleached by the sun.
I'm going to go to Panama.
Yeah.
I'm going to figure this out.
Yeah, you're going to go there with your little safari hat.
All right, guys. Well,
Investigator Berger on the job.
On the case. The Panama police ought to just like lock me up immediately.
Yeah. You know too much. But yeah, that's really all I got. A lot of unanswered questions, a lot of bleached bones, and nowadays they have a sign at the trail saying that you shouldn't keep walking because of how dangerous it is.
Well, that's helpful.
So yeah, now that they've changed that.
They didn't have a sign before,
no,
huh?
No, they didn't. Not at all. So yeah, that is a story of their disappearance, potential murder, and bleached bones.
This is spooky. I've got chills.
Spooky ooky.
Wow. I remember reading a little bit about this case and watching a few videos on it. And the pictures are really chilling.
They are not fun.
Because when
I don't like them.
Yeah, when you have fragments of evidence like that you can't really put together in a logical way, your brain just tries to invent reasons behind these things.
Yeah.
And the reasons behind everyday things can be very complicated, let alone in a situation like this.
Exactly.
You would think, though, that if there was somebody involved, somebody following them, they wouldn't necessarily have the freedom to be able to take pictures.
That's
and if they did,
thing.
then they would have taken pictures of the person who was
exactly
following, which they might have.
Maybe
it was deleted.
That's true. That's true. Or maybe they heard somebody and they were trying to take pictures of them, but it was just darkness because maybe they just like heard something and were trying to like get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But at the same time, whoever was following them probably wouldn't want to be in the jungle themselves anyway.
That's true.
Unless they were very familiar with the area.
I was just going to say, unless they knew what they were doing. Mm-hmm. And the backpack was dry, Dylan. They got this information off of the cell phones. They were undamaged. I love my Samsung Galaxy, but it would not last a river traveling trip and still be alive.
I'm thinking that if somebody was following them as well, they wouldn't want to keep the phones and images undamaged. Yes,
like why would you throw them in a rice paddy? Why would you not take them and like bury them or something, or burn them, something like that? Mm-hmm. I don't know. I thought it was like an open and shut case when I first heard it, and it's not.
Not at all.
No.
But I mean, what would the police want to delete exactly?
I don't know. Maybe
if it's a picture of a person, maybe.
So like part of the theory was maybe if it didn't fit into their theory, they didn't want to draw negative press towards Panama because tourism is a huge part of their economy, and like any potential bad press could make people not want to come, and it could crash their economy, and it could be a whole conspiracy thing. Mm-hmm. But Dutch investigators are very confident that it's not an accident.
Okay. Well, I don't think it's an accident either. It's quite a lot of steps to be an accident.
Yeah.
Just the arrangement of the remains is curious.
Yeah, literally scattered all around. That's the thing, they were not in the river. If they thought that they drowned in the river, the remains were scattered around the river and like dragged up different ways, which animals might have done that, but it doesn't like always make sense. Like all of the pieces do not fit. You would have seen claw marks, you would have seen teeth marks.
It's going to sound kind of stupid, but do rivers rise and lower under the moon as well? In the same way that the ocean does?
I don't think it's a stupid question at all, actually. That's a really good... I don't think that they do quite the same level. However, they would fluctuate in height if it was raining. And I think in that area particularly, it is known for flash flooding if it does get super rainy. So that's a possibility. But...
Do you think we'll ever figure this out?
I don't think we're ever going to figure this out. I really don't.
Well, condolences to their families.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad.
It is really sad.
Well, my thing is a lot more happy. And it's not happy necessarily, but it's its own mystery.
Yay!
And so The Secret by Byron Preiss is one of the most peculiar books that I've heard of. It was written by Byron Preiss over 40 years ago.
Oh, so it's like relatively recent. Relatively, like within the 20th century.
Yeah,
we're not talking like medieval times.
Yeah, no, not at all. It was in 1982.
Okay.
And since its release, it's been one of the most enduring and frustrating mysteries that I know of, playing off of a really genius concept.
Okay.
And so the concept is this. Byron Preiss hid 12 treasure boxes across the United States. Yeah, this is a story of buried treasure. And it has quite a tragic ending as well.
Oh, no.
The book starts like this. Welcome. We've been expecting you. You're about to embark on a fantastic adventure. A quest for 12 treasures, over $10,000 in precious jewels. They may be hidden in your city, or your local park, or even in your own backyard. You might even figure out one of their hiding places without leaving your house. That's right. It seems like fun.
Yeah.
Well, the clues and images were so obscure that to this day, only 3 of the 12 boxes have been found.
I have heard of this before.
You have?
I have.
Really?
Yes.
I thought I was the only one who knew about it.
No, I've heard of it, but I don't remember. I remember hearing about it, but that's literally it. Tell me everything.
It's super, super interesting. So, to this day, in 2023, or whenever you listen to it likely, only 3 of the 12 boxes have been found.
Damn.
That's how difficult these verses and images collectively, because they correspond with one another.
Okay.
So essentially you go through the book, you find an image and its corresponding verse, and the clues in either image and verse will lead you to a location.
Okay.
And based on that location, you go there, you find the cask, you get a key, you send it into the publishing company, and they'll give you a jewel.
Are you serious?
And yes, and the jewels are worth upwards of $1,000 each, but that was 40 years ago.
Hot damn.
So today in 2023, we don't really know what the estimate for those jewels is like, but it's definitely more than $1,000. Yeah.
Damn.
Now you think after all this time, 40 years later, Byron would provide a little bit more insight or provide some leeway, but unfortunately, and this is sort of the tragic part, he died in 2005.
Oh shit.
In a car accident.
Oh my gosh.
I believe he was in his early 50s.
Oh.
And you would think, well, okay, he didn't give any clues while he was alive, but certainly he kept a record of where the boxes were hidden. But no, he didn't.
Okay, so did he hide these boxes, or why is he giving away the treasure?
He did hide these boxes.
He hid these, so he had treasure
all across the United
States.
And
he willingly hid the treasure.
He, I guess, accumulated the money necessary to buy 12 precious jewels. And then he hid these boxes with these keys all across the United States.
Okay, I'm just processing. See, for me, I would never. I'm too... I don't want to say a cheapskate, but I like to save my money. It's I can't imagine giving it away.
Yeah, I mean, but that's sort of the gimmick of the book, is that to get people to show interest and buy the book.
Okay, that makes sense.
They would be just amateur treasure hunters looking across the United States for these boxes based on the clues that he left.
Okay. All right.
It's certainly interesting. Now, most people think, hey, I'm smart enough to solve these riddles. Nobody has been able to do it except for 3 times.
Yeah.
But here's one of the verses for context.
Okay. Is this one of the unsolved ones or one of the solved ones?
This is one of the solved ones, and I'll go through how they solved it.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Where M and B are set in stone, and to Congress R is known. L sits and left, beyond his shoulder is the fair folks' treasure holder. The end of 10 by 13 is your clue, fence and fixture, central 2. For finding jewel casts, seek the sounds of rumble, brush, and music hush. So when you think of any place in the U.S., where does that make you think of?
I honestly have no idea. It sounds like something where there's music and a city. So my first thought was D.C., but that also feels very national treasure, and that's too obvious. So I'm going to say Nashville.
Interesting, Nashville.
Yeah.
Well, you are correct. It is a city, and music does play a part.
Okay.
However, it is not Nashville.
Is it Boston?
It is not Boston.
Is it California?
It is not California.
Shit. I'm not gonna win any of the treasure, am I, Dylan?
I mean, there are still 9 boxes to be found in the United States.
Is it? Is it New York?
Nope.
Damn it to hell.
I know, it's so close by. It would be easy.
I know. I was just there. I just snagged a little treasure. A little something.
So,
am I gonna think it's really obvious when you tell me?
No, it's not obvious at all.
Okay.
But here's a little bit of the lore that he adds to the story.
Okay.
And as, I'm more of a jock than a nerd. I've always considered myself a big jock. I'm not a nerd at all.
Yeah, not at all.
I do play D&D all the time. I do have a big wizard hat.
And a beard.
And a beard. And a cape. But
not a nerd. Not whatsoever.
That's sort of what attracted me to this particular story, because the lore behind it is so interesting.
Okay.
So, in the beginning of the book, he describes this immortal race of creatures called the Fair People that consist of 12 tribes that are fairies, goblins, dragons, etc. And at some point, they sought out a new homeland, and they chose America. And each of the tribes carried their own gemstone, and they offered a truce to the humans in exchange for their gemstones if they could find them.
Okay.
So in exchange, the Fair People would come out of hiding and live in harmony among them.
So what you're saying is they would only come out of hiding if the gemstones were found?
That is my interpretation.
That's fucked. Like, we'll be friends with you, but only if you can, like, find these jewels.
Yeah.
And then that's it.
Maybe that's why there are no fairies or goblins or dragons around.
Damn it to hell.
Although, dragons were probably real.
They were probably real. Most likely.
Yeah. If their skeletons were cartilage instead of bone, that's why there's no fossils. And that's why they could fly. That's the dragon truth.
Yes. Dragons for life.
Dragons for life.
That's my running platform whenever I run for president.
You have my vote.
Yes.
Absolutely, you have my vote. And now, based around this story, he, along with a team of other people, composed 12 verses, which were to be corresponded with a certain image as well.
Okay.
And now, going through that verse that I just read, that was one of the verses that was solved.
Okay.
And now I'm going to go through how they solved it exactly.
Okay.
So after using the image to determine that the location was, one more guess, a city.
A city. Okay. A city. This is even harder. I just was guessing states.
It's a big city.
A big city.
It's known for being windy.
Chicago.
Chicago.
That's what I said, Dylan.
Did you say Chicago?
No.
So after they determined that the location was Chicago.
How?
Using the image.
What was the image?
So the image was of a goblin with his tower of stones on his head.
Oh, naturally.
And
you think Chicago when you see
one of the chains that was hanging off made the shape of Illinois.
Oh!
And from there, they went to Chicago.
Chicago?
They started with M and B, Mozart and Beethoven, chiseled in the Chicago Orchestra Hall. They then moved down to the Roosevelt University Auditorium, and to Congress R is known. After that, L sits, referring to the Lincoln Monument and Grant Park. The end of 10 by 13 is your clue, refers to a row of 10 by 13 trees.
Okay.
Following it to the end, the treasure hunter will find fence and fixture, and then seek the sounds of rumble, which refers to the nearby railroad tracks. And then, brush and music hush, which refers to the Art Institute of Chicago, and buried within a patch of lawn nearby, Eric Gassiorowski and his friends found the first cask.
Oh my gosh.
Containing the first key.
That's awesome.
And in 40 years since then, only 2 other keys have been discovered.
Wait, that was like early on.
It was early on.
Oh my gosh.
But you have to think back then, they didn't really have the internet.
That's true.
They couldn't sort of crowdsource this information to be able to
So then what are we
this.
doing now? We have the internet.
And there has been a resurgence in interest in this particular book. But the thing is, unfortunately, and this is a little sad, 40 years later, the images and verses no longer correspond one for one with the world.
Wait, what do you mean?
What might have made sense 40 years ago no longer applies now.
Damn it to hell.
Yeah.
That's what I was afraid of.
For example, the 10 by 13 might no longer be accurate because there are no longer 10 by 13 trees.
That's so upsetting.
Yeah.
What's his name? Byron what?
Byron Preiss.
He purposely did that.
Well,
I am guaranteed.
I guess he expected more interest in the beginning and the people to really come together to solve his riddles, but they were just so esoteric and confusing that, I mean, you have to really, really be a brainy person to figure out any of this shit.
I consider myself to be very smart. However, I panic under pressure. I don't think I could do this.
That verse is
I don't know. I honestly, my eyes kind of glazed over. You were reading it, I'm like, I'm trying to follow and I'm trying to pick it up, but like, whoosh.
Yeah.
I heard music and that was what I got.
Yeah. So, now 40 years later, a lot of the ground that might have held this casks has been developed or processed. The cask might be destroyed.
Shit.
And, there might be cement over it, or it might have been destroyed during, like, excavation.
I'm really upset.
And
that's such a waste.
However, 9 casks around the United States, at least a few of them probably remain.
Probably.
And if someone's determined enough, if you're determined enough.
If I am.
Who knows?
Damn. Where were the other ones found?
The other one was found in Ohio.
Of course.
And the other one was found, I believe, during an episode of a show on the Discovery Channel.
Okay.
It was brought up with an excavator.
Jeez.
And that's...
Like, totally by accident?
I believe so.
Someone was just like, what's this?
I think they actually hunted it down.
Oh,
I could be wrong. Don't hold me to that.
Okay.
Now, there have been some people who, searching for these boxes, try to approximate the area using a metal detector.
I was just going to say, yeah.
But the thing about that is, Byron planned for that. And he made the keys and the casks out of a ceramic material. So there's no cheating.
What if they have like I don't listen again. I just said I was really smart and I don't know anything. So like don't they have like those scanning things for the Earth? Not a metal detector, but like a not a radar thing, but like you can kind of like
I know what you're talking
about. You can kind of like see what is underneath there.
Yeah, like that pop thing.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Isn't that how they found like some of the tombs, like the different chambers and like the pyramids and stuff?
That's very true. They did.
Yeah, so like why don't we just do that with that stuff? Because you could probably see things.
But where's the fun of that? Don't you want to actually be able to solve the riddle?
You know what? I do. And that would bring me so much joy. But you know what else would bring me joy?
Yeah. Money. I would like some money.
Yeah.
I would like a big ruby.
A big ruby.
To wear on my finger.
Yeah.
Next to my class ring.
Yeah.
Do
you have a class ring?
No, I don't. I mean, I had an opportunity back in high school to get a class ring, and I was like, well, I could spend money on like literally anything else. So that's what I did. But yeah, it's definitely one of the more interesting things that I found in terms of mysteries, world mysteries that I came across. And I don't hear it talked about too much.
No, it's really not. I don't know where I first heard of it, but it was not like a big published thing. It was very like hush hush.
But to this day, there are still casks out there, and at least 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 of them are probably obtainable.
Dylan, I think that we should go on a treasure hunt. I'm just saying, and not that this has sparked any ideas in my brain, but like I think that would be a great idea for us to do.
Absolutely, road trip treasure hunt.
Yeah, road trip to I have no idea where, but
yeah, and if we end up in Nashville, we can still have Nashville hot chicken.
Yes, hell yeah. Don't
mind if I chew. Anyway. So yeah, that is. I have a little extra section here.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd come up with a few riddles.
Okay.
Test your riddle solving abilities.
Oh, Dylan, this is gonna be so bad.
So how are you with riddles?
So like, I am someone who needs to see words to understand them. I am not a great auditory listener and learner, which isn't great. But like, if you tell me enough times, I might be able to get it.
Okay.
I don't know.
So, all right, this is the first one.
Okay.
Let's see your riddle solving ability.
Oh, jeez. It's not great.
All right. Which 3 letters can frighten a thief away?
That's it. Which 3 letters can frighten a thief away?
Yeah.
D-O-G.
D-O-G?
Dog. I don't know, Dylan. You're really exposing me here. You're showing how not smart I am.
No, you have to be very particularly brained to get any riddles at all.
Okay. Some of them is it like a word riddle where it's like in the sentence?
No, it's letters in a certain order. So which 3 letters can frighten a thief away? I-C-U.
Oh.
I feel like a little riddle goblin. This is so delightful.
That should be your next D&D character. A little riddle goblin. You only speak in rhyme. You give riddles to give answers. And they don't have to be good. They should just be whatever.
They can be fucking terrible.
Yeah.
I look up easy riddles on Google, and that's just what I do the whole game.
Yes.
People get really pissed.
Yeah. You make no friends.
How about this one?
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Yeah, okay.
That's the spirit.
Okay.
All right. Can a man legally marry his widowed sister in the state of California?
Yeah? Can a man legally marry his widow's sister? So that's his wife's sister. So that would be his sister-in-law, which would no longer be in-law because the wife would be dead. So it would be his... Does that count if you're dead?
But is his wife the dead one?
Wait, what? We repeat it. Repeat it. 1 second.
Can a man legally marry his widow's sister in the state of California?
Wait a second. My brain. His widow, which is a woman. A widow is a woman.
That's correct.
His widow's sister. And you said, what if she's not the dead one?
Can a man legally marry his widow's sister in the state of California?
Widow's sister.
Yeah.
His deceased wife's sister.
But the widow isn't the deceased one.
What?
The widow is the partner of somebody who's died.
What? Wait. Oh my gosh, you're right. You're right.
We're taking an intermission.
Oh my gosh, you're right. Oh my gosh. He would be the widower. She would be the widow. Yeah. Can a man marry his widow? No, he'd be dead.
Hell yeah. That's right.
That was given to me.
No, that was good.
Okay, cool.
All right. Last riddle here.
Okay, cool.
What can go up and down without moving?
Jeez, I feel like I've heard this one before, and what can go up and down without moving? Up and down. Not a voice, not your eyes, not letters, not sound. Sound?
It's really hot outside.
Temperature!
Hell yeah! That's right. I think we might have a shot.
Yeah?
We can find these last 9 remaining casks.
Yeah?
And make some money.
Damn. I think, you know what? If I study enough riddles, maybe I could. Or if I have Byron, what's his face?
Byron Preiss.
Also, what kind of name is Byron? I'm sorry, but like...
I don't hate it.
Really?
What's that poet's name?
Byron Preiss.
Lord Byron.
Lord Byron.
Mm-hmm.
Named after Byron Preiss.
But he was around like in the 1800s?
But someone prophesized Byron Preiss.
Nostradamus.
Yep. That's who it was. And they knew it was coming.
I have 20 pages of notes about Nostradamus.
Do you actually?
No. Just in case you wanted to talk about something else.
I am so gullible. I promise you could tell me anything. You could tell me you have jelly beans for toes, and I would probably believe it.
I have jelly beans for ears.
I know!
But that's about it. But I just thought that this particular book, which nobody knows about.
No, nobody knows about it.
Except us.
Can you still buy it?
Yes, or you don't have to buy it.
Okay.
There's also the PDF online.
Yo.
Am I allowed to say that?
I was like, maybe we shouldn't release this. Maybe we should just like keep this for ourselves and like so that nobody knows about it and like we can find the treasure. We can find all 9 of the casks.
Casks.
I almost said cast. That's not correct.
I'm ready to go.
Yeah, let's go.
I have an approximate idea of like one of these.
Really?
No, not even close. But to give you an idea of how difficult these things are. I mean, let me just pull up another verse here. Lane 222. You'll see an arc of lights, weight and roots extended together save the sight of granite walls. Windswept halls, citadel in the night, a wingless bird ascended, born of ancient dreams of flight. Beneath the only standing member of a forest to the south, Whitestone closest at 12 paces from the west side, get permission to dig out. What the fuck?
What the fuck is that?
Byron, come
Byron.
on. You're clearly not related to the poet.
No, not at all.
That verse sucked. And I'm angry. I'm pissed. And I'll never find the jewels.
No. I'm gonna die poor.
But all in all, I would definitely, if you're interested in treasure hunting, if you like the strange, dark, and mysterious, then definitely check out The Secret by Byron Preiss, because to this day, it is an unsolved mystery.
That is going to be my beach read for the summer. The Secret.
You should.
I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to have a metal detector. Or not a metal detector, a radar scanner thingy. And I'm going to scour the earth.
Yeah, why have fun when you can just...
Exactly.
Get things for free.
Exactly.
All right. Well, that's all that I had.
I love it. Thank you so much, Dylan.
Absolutely. Thank you, Madison. I'm happy to help.
Yes. Thank you so much for being on here, Dylan. This is so fun. I had such a great time.
I had a great time as well.
Yeah. That you guys liked this episode. Give Dylan some love because he deserves it. If you want to follow us, you can follow us on You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at MECPod. And you can also email us or send us a DM at myexistentialcrisispodcast@gmail.com. If you want to send in topic ideas or let us know how you like things, feel free to do that. And that's all I've got for you.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.